Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Zanut here. This is part 2 of the build for the Lian PC-Q08 home theater PC build. That's going to be water cooled. Just an update from the last video. I had called Performance PCs, where I bought the Supreme LT Uni block, and told them that I had didn't get some of the pieces, and that was on Wednesday. Late on Wednesday, and here Friday, they within 2 days they got the pieces together and shipped them out to me. So props to Performance PCs. They're awesome, great customer service and great products. So a lot of you guys have asked me where I get a lot of my parts. I get most of my water cooling parts from Performance PCs. I also get them from Frozen CPU and Sidewinder computers. But for the motherboards, processors, chips, I get those from various places, either from Newegg, from Amazon.com, and Micro Center. Those are probably the three prior. Oh, and also NCIX. That's actually where I got the BitPhoenix Prodigy case. It was a pre-order, but I do order some. Those are the primary places. But anyway, back to this build. Now that I have the block reinstalled, and according to the instructions with all the proper pieces, one of the things you'll note, I oriented the block this way so I would have the fittings coming across here. And actually I'm going to put the fittings on now and then mount it back inside of the case and finish laying out the build. Alright, just going to go ahead and mount the 45-degree dual rotary fittings on here. Now Bits Power fittings are a little more expensive than the rest, but the quality and the range of types of fittings they have is what makes the difference for me. So I'll pay the few dollars more for them. I've never really tried barbs ever. I've always done compression fittings. One of these builds I'm going to have to, a simple build, I'm going to have to try half-inch barbs with 7/16 tubing. I think that's what I like the way TTL does it. And so, but I've never tried it. I always like the look and the flexibility and I guess the peace of mind that the compression fittings offer. But so anyway, so yeah, some black matte Bits Power fittings on here, although once it's inside this case you're not going to see it, but it doesn't matter. Alright, let's get it mounted and inside again. Okay, maybe it's just me being anal, but with all these nice black cables inside there, the red, white, and black cable from this fan was driving me nuts, so I went ahead and sleeved it and heat shrinked it around the bottom. And then, of course, if I'm going to do that, I can't let these go either, so I'm going to put some shrink tubing though over the whole lot. I'm not going to do them individually because they all go to the same spot in the motherboard, so really it's all going to be one little harness there, but it'll look a little bit better. Alright, well, you can still see the cable through it. It still it looks a little better than having all that bright white laying inside the case there. So plus a lot of this is going to be snaked down and hidden out of the way when it connects to the motherboard right about here. So anyway, alright, I feel better now that it's not bright white and the fan cable's also sleeved. Hey guys, how you doing? Right, I have the DCLT Alpha Cool pump mounted to the DCLT Plexi top and its reservoir. This is a tiny, small, compact reservoir pump setup. Supposed to be very silent, one of the smallest ones. I actually did an unboxing and first look of each of the pieces, and I assembled it. So I'll put up the link so you can take a look at that. And here's the reservoir for this guy, and the pump top, and then the pump itself came in separately. They're all sold separately, although I think Frozen CPU you can buy the whole setup pre-assembled as well. but I just put it together. So using this pump setup, this is I think this is the one I'm going to go with, and it's tiny and small. I'll actually let me bring out the other one so you can see the difference. But here's the other pump setup that I was going to use. It's the DDC. I haven't mounted the base in there as I haven't. I decided not to use them for this build, and I'm not going to take them out of the bag yet in case I decide to sell it and go for a different build with a larger pump setup. But anyway, here is that. I mean, just compare the two. I mean, obviously much bigger, and to mount it in here would fit. It would fit in there nicely, but there's just more to work with as far as space if I use this guy. So my plan is to mount this guy in here somewhere. I'm going to work that out now, and it looks like the way I laid it out in my mind was to have this is the outlet, so have that run right into the inlet of this of the radiator, and then coming out of the rad go into the CPU block, and then coming out of the CPU block go into the reservoir again. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a little bit of a tight fit. I'm probably going to have to use a couple of just straight compression fittings to go to each other. And then coming out of this guy, I might be able to do a straight shot there too. And then coming back, I'm going to have to use a right angle. And I might have to replace that 45 degree with a right angle as well. So, but one of the things I want to do is, since I've sleeved everything else, I'm going to sleeve this puppy as well. Now, this pump, it would have been nice if it had the actual the fan speed lead on it, and it looks like this pump is actually designed. It looks like it has a place for another wire, and that would be good because then you can connect it up to the CPU port on the CPU fan on the motherboard. This motherboard has a PWM connection so that it could regulate the speed of your pump, kind of just like the Apogee Drive 2 that I did in the Prodigy build. That had a four pin wire, so it would adjust the pump speed as needed and as you set in your BIOS. But this doesn't have that, so this I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to connect, depending on how noisy it is, I'm going to connect to a simple fan controller that I can mount in the back here, that you can adjust it to voltage regulation, so I can adjust the amount of power that I'm feeding this pump. Now, I don't know how quiet it's going to be. It's supposed to be quiet. I read some reviews that it's not that quiet, but we'll see. I'll play it so that you can hear that. But yeah, that would have been nice so that they could have done that on this pump. And maybe there's a version that they do have it. I did not see it, but I didn't look for it when I originally bought this. So, alright, so I'm going to sleeve this, and then we'll come back to finding the right fittings and the position inside of this case here. But I think that's a good solution there, from pump out to rad in, rad out to CPU block, and a CPU block back to the back of the pump. And if I do that up here, then I have this side panel to be able to remove the top and fill the system. I could place it in the back and do it that same way, but then it limits my ability to fill it. And then there's more of a run to or from the block. So to keep the runs the shortest, I think, is the way that I have it, the way I'm thinking about it right now. Okay, got a little sleeving and shrink tube on the pump cable now, so everything's coming together. Like I talked about before, I'm going to mount it right here, from fitting to fitting, and then come out of the rad into the block, and out of the block into the reservoir. So now I got to find the right combination of fittings to make that work, and I got to find a plug for this inlet port, which I'm not using because the reservoir is going to feed the pump and then come out here. So, all right, let's see if you can see what we got going on in here. I've got a couple of compression fittings going straight in. I measured the distance of the power supply, and that's that ends 6.3 here, and let's see, that is just about where this guy is. So I have some space, and I would think about using some crystal links, but you can see that they're uneven, so I would have to lift this up to get it just right. But I think I'm just going to go with fittings like this right now. It's a short piece of tubing I'll have to put in there, but I think I can do that. And then if I do that, then I have this one here can return to the back of the pump, right back there. And the one thing I didn't think about is a drain port, but I think what I can do is if I use some coolant's quick disconnect, I'm thinking if I can do that back here, then I can disconnect I can disconnect without anything leaking out, and then just put one of the opposite fittings on here with a tube coming out of the case and draining it out. The reservoir is tiny, so really what I'm draining is what's coming out of the out of the radiator, right? So the radiator and what's in the block. So I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see how it looks with this fitting in the back there, but I think it's long enough that, I mean, when you use these fittings, and I'll show you, but it's going to probably come out to about here. So then I got to tube it up. So there's some flexibility there. That's the only thing that the quick disconnects, they offer you that no drip seal and the capability of putting draining anything from anywhere in your system, but they are not short and compact. That's a long ass solution to put these guys together inside there. So I'll show you. Okay. Hopefully you can see here what I've got is this is going to be the position of this piece here with some tubing to get between them, and then if I move this out of the way, you can see back here the quick disconnect. This is the female one, the compression side, so I'll run that up to this on the CPU block, and then coming out of the CPU block I put a triple rotary on the back of the reservoir to get it back in, because that allows me to adjust it pretty much to the oddball angle that I need to connect up to that fitting. So yes, that's the planned tubing run, and I have some Tygon tubing that I got. It's got a slight yellowish tint to it. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to put distilled water. I'm not going to put any Mayhem's dye or anything in it, but and it's brand new tubing. It just seems to me it's got a little bit of a tint, but it's flexible, and I don't see having any bends bad enough that it's going to make it kink. So hopefully this will work good. So I think what I'm going to do now is make all the front panel connections to the motherboard, and actually probably cable it up pretty much as I can, because once I get the power supply in place, the only thing should then have to do is connect the power connection to the back of the power supply. But before I even put the power supply in, I'll have everything cabled up, tubed up, and then I can do the fill and the bleed, and you can watch that happen. All right. Okay, starting to get the cabling installed here. So I have the front panel connections done. And then and there's a lot of excess cabling, so I have it wrapped up inside of this cable mount, and so that's kind of holding it up out of the way. I have the fan cable coming from the back of the fan, kind of behind the motherboard, and then popping out to connect into the CPU fan, since this is not going to have a CPU fan connection. I've got that fan on it. And then I have the fan, the AeroCool fan streamliner, going to the system chassis fan connection on this motherboard. And the only thing that's left to power up is going to be the pump from a 3-pin connection standpoint, and so I have something for that. But and then I also connected up the audio, the front panel audio down here, out of the way, running along the base. And then I have the USB 3.0 ports. In this case, has the headers that you would have to dress outside of the case and plug into your motherboard on the outside. But I don't want to do that, as this ASRock has a 3.0 header on it. I bought a little header that takes the USB 3.0s. So I'm going to dress this so I can plug this into the motherboard there and have 3.0 in the front and not have to use any extra cabling or run it outside of the case. But that means I'm going to have to bundle this stuff up out of the way, so I'm working on that right now, and then hopefully we'll have that connected up. And then the only thing left really is power connections and the SATA cable connections that'll be coming from the motherboard. Okay, we have the have most of the motherboard connections done. I've got the USB 3.0 cables plugged into the adapter into the motherboard. The power supply comes up here, so I will have to push these and bend these in a little bit more. But they're dressed. I have them tie wrapped, a clip here, and they're tie wrapped down out of the way. The fan connectors are in the motherboard, and now I've got to plug in the SATA cables, one for the optical drive and one for the SSD. And actually, see if you can see this, but there's a nice slot right under here. There's a space underneath this optical drive bay, which I just realized when I was cabling it that I'm going to put the SSD in. So that way I can run the SSD power cable, you know, one of those 2-piece power cables from the Seasonic. It's just 2 ports on it, and run that to the motherboard, so I don't have to snake and run a cable down at the bottom. Here is where originally I was going to put it. So that's going to be good. So SATA power and data are going to be right up close and out of the way. And then that leaves me the space here to mess with the tubing and get it in before I have to put the power supply in. And also I have to put the audio card in down there. So it's coming together. And so now dress the SATA cables and add the power cables to the motherboard. I got power, the 8-pin power here, 24-pin power here, and then run the power to the optical drive and the SSD. Alright, checking in now. We've got the SATA cables connected to the SSD, and I have that, the SATA data cables, and I have that run back behind and over to the opticals on the SATA 2 port, and then the SSDs on the SATA 3, and I decided to go with the Vertex 3 120 gig drive, so I can I think you know I know I don't need more than 60 for the OS since I'm streaming everything from my home server, but in case I want to load a game on this, and you know, who knows what additional things I might want to put on. So I got some room to spare. So anyway, I decided to go with the 120 gig SSD. So that one is plugged into the SATA 3 port, so the 6 gigabytes per second. And let's see here. It got kind of busy in there. I've got the power cable to the motherboard, CPU, ATX power, and I have that dressed around the back, and some nice clamp bringing it out so it'll plug into the back of the Seasonic right here. Same thing with the motherboard connector. That's kind of a big honking guy, but I have him kind of looped up and also coming down dressed nicely, so he can plug into the Seasonic right here. What else did I do? Alright, now I'm to the point where I need to figure out the power for the pump. I only have the 2 fan connectors, and I have 2 fans in the system, so I'm going to put one of these fans on the on this fan controller. This is just a simple fan controller that you mount to the back of your case, and it is designed to use the pulse width modulated connection on your motherboard. So if your motherboard BIOS is set that, you know, if the processor's heating up, it'll kick in to make the fan or the pump go faster. The only problem is that pump doesn't have that kind of control. It's just a straight 2-pin power. So this this little controller also allows you to do voltage regulated. So that way I can adjust the amount of power going to that pump, and that will adjust the speed of the pump and also the noise if it's going to be noisy. And I don't know what it's going to sound like yet. So this is definitely going to control the pump, but one of the fans is going to go on it. But the problem is when I adjust this for the pump, it's also going to adjust the fan speed. So the question is which fan to do, the one that's the exhaust to the case or the one that's blowing through on the push on the radiator. Now I thought about it. I know this fan is very quiet, so that's one thing. This fan I don't know, but I do know I want positive pressure. This is going in my home entertainment system underneath my TV, and it tends to be dusty down there. So if I have the exhaust fan drawing more than this guy is going to push in because I've adjusted it, then I'm going to have negative pressure. I'm going to get dust. It's going to be dust bunnies galore inside my case. So I don't want that. So I want this fan right now is going to be on full blast, full 12 volts. So I'm going to put him on the motherboard, and then I'm going to mount the fan, the exhaust fan, to this controller along with the pump. So if I turn the pump speed down, then the exhaust fan is going to come down a little. But there's enough, hopefully there's enough pressure coming in from this fan, and also there's a lot of vents out the back of this case, so I'm thinking that's going to do okay. You know, only time will tell. I'll see how bad dust gets in there. And then we'll also hear about where I'll listen to the sound, and if I have to, I guess I could get a splitter and put both of these fans on one of the motherboard ports, but I don't have one. So right now I'm going to wire it up. But one of the things to note is, you know, pretty much everything in here is what, black and silver and a little bit of gold. Now you're not going to be looking in the case, but I'm going to know. And aside from these on the Seasonic, the little colors in the ends, I'm not too worried about those. But check this out. Look at all of the cabling that comes with this controller. Yes? Who said that? Mike, did you say it? Yep, you're right. I'm going to have to sleeve this cable. So I got to do that now before I install it. So all right, I've got the I got that the fan controller, or what's going to be the pump controller. Put some sleeving on it, and a little bigger size sleeving that I needed, but it's in there nice and out of the way. I need to dress it in the back a little bit. But other than that, I've got everything run up. I've got the 2 fan connectors. I have the one for the fan up top connected right here to the fan controller, and then this is where the pump's going to be. So one of the things I realized is that, you know, I need to put in the sound card, because I've been taking some liberties about where this tubing is going to go, and it can't go down because that card's going to fit right there. But it's not a full-length card, so I got to see if it'll sneak right around here and get to this fitting. So I need to do that. But other than that, cabling is not too messy, and it's back out of the way. It's back and it's black, and the only things that are yellow was in between the connectors. I wasn't going to mess with that. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see any of this anyway. But all right. So right now I need to take the audio card, fit it in there, and I believe this audio connection actually goes to the card as well, so I'll need to reroute that. And then it's time to yeah, finish the tubing. Yeah guys, so just as I thought, having the card in here definitely limits the tube run that I've got to go here. So either I've got to go to another triple rotary fitting here and do away with the quick disconnect, or I get a 45-degree quick disconnect or 30 that angles this guy up so I can get to one of those fittings. So let me see what I got in my bag of fittings tricks and see if I can make something work, or if I have to go to a another more flexible fitting that I can put up. But then it means I won't have any easy way draining the system. Okay, as it just so happens, I happen to have a Coolance. This is a Coolance 45-degree G-quarter fitting, and I put one down here, and looks like between that and hopefully a flexible piece of tag-on tubing will do the job. So looks like that's going to be a solution. Now the one thing that's different than I originally planned is this was going to go down to this bottom one, and then the top was going to go to the back to the reservoir, but this is the way it's going to feed the top of the CPU block, and then the bottom one's going to go right to the other side here. And actually that's perfect. Look at that, that's almost a straight line right there. So this angle is going to work out. I think it's going to work out fine. Alright, so get some tubing adjusted and cut. If this is not the right length, and tube up these two right here right now. Okay, got the tube in there, and that's nice and snug, tightened down. So we're looking good there. Now to run the tubing between these guys right here, get this connection going between those two, and then also tube up this this joint right here. Now I'm hoping that the tubing, probably the tubing between here and here, is going to keep it straight, but I really don't want to put Velcro on the bottom of this pump just in case. I just prefer not to do that. I don't know if it's going to keep it warm or what, but I think the tubing connections between here and here will do the job. At least I hope it will. Alright, there it is. We got the tubing all connected up. We have the Alpha Cool mini individual res feeding the Alpha Cool DCLT top with the Alpha Cool DCLT pump, and coming out of a bits power just a compression fitting into another one into the 140 GT Stealth rad. Coming out of the rad, there is a 45-degree Coolance adapter extension that has a single rotary on it, so you can move it any left or right, into a Coolance quick disconnect setup. There's a male on the one end going into the adapter, and then a female with a compression fitting feeding bits power 45-degree dual rotary, and then that goes into the EK LT Uni block, CPU block, and then coming out is another 45-degree dual rotary bits power fitting, and then into I don't know if you can see it, but here is a triple rotary Coolance, a triple rotary bits power fitting, so that I can get all the right angles and turns, and it's pretty straight going back into the rest. So all the tubing's done. Power cables will dress later after I get the power supply in, but right now next up is will be the filling and bleeding of the loop here. So I think I'm going to end the video here, and pick it back up with the next vid to finish the build. That's it for Ron's and Nut. Hope you like. If you did, please like and subscribe if you're so inclined. Thanks.